everyone. Welcome to our podcast. Today we're talking about Five Forts, One Island, and a Shaken World, a Qing-Centered story. It happens during 1800s to 1870. My name is Jim, and I'm today's host.
And I'm Isabella, I'm the co-host.
Imagine standing on China's southern coast in the early 1800s. Trade is controlled, order feels possible, and the Qing government believes stability is its duty.
And then a drug sprang through society, opium.
Silver drains out, families suffer, officials panic, and eventually foreign warships decide the rules. Welcome back. Today we're telling the West's impact on East Asia from a Qing-centered point of view, covering 1800 to 1870.
So we are not doing a Western program story.
Exactly. Our argument is Western industrial power didn't just bring trade. It forced new rules that weakened Qing sovereignty, and those external pressures hit an empire already strained by economic stress, social harm from opium, and later massive internal rebellion.
And we will use evidence at least one primary and one secondary source inside the episode.
Right, we'll read short excerpts from Ling Seshu's 1839 letter and the 1842 Treaty of Nanjing, and then connect them to historical consequences. First, we need the world before the war. In the early 1800s, Qing officials didn't think of international relations like modern equal nations competing for markets.
What did they think instead?
They believed the state had moral responsibility to maintain social order, stable families, working local government, predictable taxes, and a controlled economy.
So trade wasn't bad, but it has to be managed.
Exactly. Foreign merchants could trade, but Qing state tried to keep it limited and predictable, especially through southern ports.
Then why did things collapse?
Opium. From a Qing point of view, opium wasn't just another product. It attacked society. It caused addiction, debt, and a sense that the government was losing control at the local level.
And there's also the money side, silver.
Yes, when people buy opium, payment often involves silver. In simple terms, silver is like the bloodstream of the economy. If it starts flowing out, it stresses taxes, prices, and local stability.
So even before the first shot, the Qing states feel pressure, social harms, and economic strain.
Exactly. That's one reason this story isn't just external pressure. The West impact hits an entire empire that already has vulnerabilities. Next, Ling Seshu. The Qing court sent him to Guangdong to stop the opium trade.
And he's remembered for destroying opium, but the bigger story is his reasoning.
Right. Ling's logic is moral and political. He believes governance means protecting people.
Here's a short excerpt from Ling Seshu's letter to Queen Victoria. Since then, you do not permit it to injure your own country. You are sought not to have the injured during drugs transferred to another country.
That line matters because it shows a Qing-centered viewpoint. This isn't free trade, it's harm exported for profit.
And Ling and Su leaders share moral responsibility. He accepts the British task to restrain its merchants.
But Britain's response follows a different logic. Protect trade and national advantage, blacked out by industrial military power.
So Ling tracks down British escalates.
Yes, and that escalation leads to war, and then to treaty terms that reshape the coastal world. Now, the First Opium War, from 1839 to 1842.
The simple version of China lost because British were stronger.
But for mastery, we need context. Britain's advantage wasn't just better soldiers. It was industrial power, steam-driven mobility, advanced naval artillery, and a strategy designed for coastal dominance.
Meanwhile, the Qing state is dealing with internal issues too: uneven local enforcement, cooperation, slow decision-making.
Exactly, so you have a mismatch, a fast industrial military machine versus a huge empire struggling to coordinate under stress.
Will end with a treaty.
And the treaty is the key mechanism of Western impact, because it turns military victory into legal rules inside China. Here's the turning point, the Treaty of Nanjing, signed in 1842.
We are going to name the terms and explain why each one matters, not just listen.
The treaty opens 5 ports: Guangzhou, Xiamen, Fuzhou, Ningbo, and Shanghai.
Meaning foreign merchants don't just pass through one's control channel anymore, they spread along the coast.
This changes local economies fast. New trade patterns, new jobs, new inequality, new tensions.
Here's a short line from the Treaty of Nanjing. The Emperor of China seized the land of Hong Kong to be possessed in perpetuity.
From a Qing perspective, that is not trade, it's territorial loss, and a symbol that military defeat now rewrites borders.
The treaty also required large payment,
which means the Qing state is punished financially for losing, and those costs ripple through society. That can mean heavier tax pressure, budget problems, and public anger.
Another major change is how trade is managed. The Qing has used structured system to control foreign trade.
And the treaty tears down parts of that control. So sovereignty isn't only about land, it's also about who sets the economic rules.
So by 1842, the impact is clear. More foreign presence along in the coast, a permanent territorial rules, financial punishment, and weak Qing control over trade government.
Exactly, but it depends even more right after. 1 year later, agreements linked to the Treaty of the Bow strengthened British privilege.
The key concept to explain is legal intrusion. Foreign operating with special protection include externality in later treaty structure.
From a Qing-centered view, this feels like sovereignty leaking out. Not only are foreigners in the ports, they can be less accountable to Qing law and practice.
Even if it's explained as protecting foreigners, the social impact is huge.
It creates resentment, tension, and the sense that government can fully protect its own people inside its own territory. Now we jump forward into 1800 to 1870 chronology.
And this is where internal pressure becomes impossible to ignore.
From 1850 to 1864, the Qing faces the Taiping Rebellion, a massive civil war.
Some historians estimate tens of millions of deaths and huge devastation in the Qing. Even if the Qing want to focus on the foreign damage, The destroyed resources are limited, armies are busy, and the state legitimacy is shaky.
Exactly. The West impact doesn't happen in a vacuum. It hits during a period of internal crisis. Next, the Second Opium War, 1856 to 1860.
This is basically round 2, but with expanding consequence.
The pattern continues. More access, more ports, more diplomatic pressure, and deeper intrusion into Qing governance.
From an East Asia perspective, it feels like the West is no longer stuck outside the gate. It's moving inward, political and economic.
This is also when treaty structures start shaping China's international relationships for decades, which contributes to the later narrative of unequal treaties. Finally, we end with how Qing leaders respond. The self-strengthening movement, beginning around 1861.
The idea is not become Western. It's closer to learn Western technology to resist Western power.
Exactly. It's modernization under pressure, buying modern weapons, building arsenals and shipyards, reforming diplomacy, but trying to keep cultural and political identity.
So the legacy is complex, creation of humiliation, but also forced debate and repeat modernization attempts.
And importantly, this is still an East Asian story, because the focus is on how Qing leaders and society interpret and react to outside pressure. Let's wrap it up. From 1800 to 1870, the West's impact on China wasn't simply contact, it was coercion plus consequences. Treaty ports that reshaped coastal life, territorial loss, financial punishment, and legal intrusions.
And those external shocks hit an empire already under strain, and later torn apart by internal rebellion.
If opening up happens under threat, it isn't really an opening. It's a restructuring of power.
Thank you for listening.